Let's talk pretty privilege. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. Today I wanted to talk about the concept of pretty privilege when it comes to women in relationships. This is a topic I've been seeing come up a lot in a lot of content in many different ways with a lot of different views, and I just had some things that I just wanted to share with my thoughts on the concept of pretty privilege or attractiveness in relationships and things like that. You know, it's interesting because I really felt like before I got into this topic, I was going to give a disclaimer that I was not claiming that like I was pretty, or that like I was claiming that like I was benefiting from pretty privilege. And it's interesting that I felt called to say that. Like literally as I was about to say it, I was like, why do I feel like I need to say it? And I realized that it's because so many times in my life, if I ever made a positive statement about my physical appearance, there was always a man there, usually a man, sometimes a woman, but the vast majority of the time a man there to take me down a peg, to tell me that I wasn't really that pretty or I wasn't really that attractive. And that's something that I want to bring up because I have seen people say like, why is it that there are very attractive women who don't think that they're attractive or don't know that they're attractive? And the reality is the media does a phenomenal job of pointing out all the ways that women could be better. But I also know that I am a reasonably attractive woman. I'm heavier now than I used to be, so I realize that I am not within a societally acceptable body size. But I also know that I have a lot of characteristics that are considered very attractive in mainstream society. I have very proportional features. I have a cute button nose. I have pretty blue eyes. I have very long, healthy hair that, as you can tell, is not naturally blonde, but that's beside the point. I also, even at my skinniest, have a very large chest. You would think would be a privilege, but really just gives you back pain and makes your bras really expensive. But anyway, like I realize I have a lot of characteristics that are considered attractive. I have some characteristics that in mainstream society are not considered attractive, right? But unfortunately, women are constantly taught to think of themselves as being less attractive than they are. And this is actually a scientifically proven fact. It always boggles my mind when I hear men, especially on these podcasts or whatever, that are trying to take women down a peg because they're like, oh, women are walking around thinking that they're 10s and they're not. There's actual scientific evidence that women, first of all, 100% of adolescent girls have body dysmorphia. 100% of adolescent girls have body dysmorphia. That needed to be said twice. Which, bear in mind, adolescent girls, as sick as this is to say, are the women who these podcast bro alpha males claim are in their prime when they're adolescents, which I know is sick, but like go with me on this one, right? That's also the age when women have the most insecurities. That's also the age when women feel the worst about themselves. Adolescents. 100% of them have body dysmorphia. Isn't that convenient that these very insecure men are targeting women and convincing women that their prime is the age when women feel the worst about themselves? Because when women feel the worst about themselves, they're much easier to manipulate. And if you are a young woman who is listening to this, can I just tell you that one of the beautiful aspects about getting older as a woman, take this from a woman who is just about to turn 44, as you get older, you gain so much more confidence in your body. Do you look like you did when you were 20? No. But you also care way less about what other people think of you. It's a beautiful aspect of getting older, is just not caring as much about the BS. The reality of the situation is that women have more insecurities, have more body image issues, have more body dysmorphia than most men will ever have. Now, is that increasing? Like more men are having eating disorders, more men are having body dysmorphia. Like I'm not saying that men are not a factor in this discussion. However, with women, it is rampant. Like it is rampant. You're gonna have a hard time finding any woman that doesn't have these issues. Whereas more men are having them, but it's not all of them. I always find it interesting when like these podcast bros or whatever start saying that, oh, women think that they're 10s when they're really 5s, which first of all, can I just say, if you are an adult and you are ranking a human by number, grow up. Like, I just think that's disgusting. Like at the number system, to me, I don't care what number you rank anybody. I don't care if you think it's a compliment. I don't care if you're trying to insult people. I don't care. Once you're past junior high, you should be too mature for that. Like the number system is so disgusting and degrading, and I would say this about men or women. I think if you're rating people at a number, you need to grow up. That said, the fact that there are so many like podcast bros that are like, oh, women all think that they're 10s. And I realize there are some women who are fighting back and just saying that they're a 10 and owning that. And honestly, as much as I hate the number system, I say, girl, own it. The guys are just gonna insult you no matter what. Like, they use this number system as a manipulation tool. So call yourself a 10 and own it. Like, more power to you. I'm all for women who choose to do that. There was a girl on one of those shows that actually went viral where the guy was like trying to convince her that she wasn't a 10, and she was like, I don't care. I'm a 10 and I own it. More power to her. Like, all for that. Personally, I think the number system is stupid and immature, and I wouldn't be a part of that conversation, but like, I'm all for her owning that. But that said, in reality, the most gorgeous woman, like the woman that you think, whatever woman you define as being the most gorgeous, attractive woman on this planet, probably has about the self-esteem level of like an average man. Like, women's self-esteem has actually been documented to be terrible. Our body image is terrible. Why? Because every single thing in our media is designed to make women feel bad about themselves, to sell us products, and to make people money. The whole system is set up that way. Our economy is set up based on that. Women's insecurities literally run the economy. There are at least 3, probably more, but I can think of at least 3 trillion-dollar industries that would collapse if women all decided to feel good about themselves the way they are. Completely collapse. Like, our economy would collapse if women actually felt good about themselves. Like, that's the way we've set up our system now. Now, I did a video recently talking about women and body image, and I dove into a lot of stuff when it comes to the media and how the media literally puts women who are mutilating their bodies through plastic surgery, eating disorders, things like that, up on a pedestal, and how we absolutely need to stop celebrating those things. We need to stop putting women on pedestals. And I'm not saying we should shame women who are doing those things, because the women who are doing those things are doing it because of societal pressure, right? But we need to stop putting women who are doing those things up on pedestals. The woman is mutilating her body with plastic surgery. She needs help. She needs help in the same way that if you found a teenage girl who was cutting herself, like, it's basically just an expensive version of cutting. Like, it's just an expensive version of that. You're mutilating your body, like, is what it is. Eating disorders kill. This video was supposed to be about pretty privilege, and I ended up going on a body image rant. Shocker. Our society is very much set up to convince women that no matter how attractive they are, they're not good enough. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that most women, no matter how attractive they are, have spent a good amount of time in their life being taken down a notch, being taken down a few pegs, like whether it be by their family, whether it be by other people, whether it be by the media, or something. Like, every woman, no matter how attractive, has had people try to take them down a few pegs. Now, there are women who are purely narcissistic. Narcissism in women is very rare. Sociopathy in women is incredibly rare. So these are not things that are common in women. However, if a woman is a narcissist, she might be able to tune that out and just ignore that. Other certain personality disorders may be able to tune that out as well. Women may also just put a wall up and may actually just deny it. They might learn how to tune out that noise, but most women are not going to be in that situation. A lot of women are going to pretend that they don't have those insecurities. A lot of women are going to pretend that those things don't affect them, but in reality, for most of us, it is. So even the most attractive woman in the world is going to have a ton of insecurities, because every woman, no matter how gorgeous, no matter how celebrated a supermodel, is going to know where her perceived flaws are. Even if we don't think that they're flaws, they know where they are, right? Let's face it, when you are in whatever world you're in, when you're perceived to be the most attractive or one of the most attractive women, you tend to be a target for a lot of different people. You may be a target from other women who are jealous and want to take you down a few notches, or maybe even other women who perceive that maybe being a fake friend of yours might get them some benefits that go along with your attractiveness, right? You may get men who see you as being attractive and may want something from you, whether it be sexual energy that they're looking for from you because they're attracted, or whether it be because of the status that you provide for them. Like, they may see your beauty as being an asset and want to own that asset. You may also get men who dislike you for being attractive, because they resent you, because they feel like you're something that they want that they know they can't have. So they feel like they need to tear you down. And look, I'm not sitting here saying I'm the most gorgeous woman in the world, but I've definitely experienced all of those things. And if I've experienced all of these things, then I'm sure there are lots of other women in the world who have experienced these things as well. And I'm not making this video to say like, oh, poor woe is me, pretty girls have it so difficult, right? Because in reality, most women, depending on the environment that you're in, you're gonna be the pretty girl somewhere. If you're not the prettiest girl in the group that you're in, you could find a different group and probably become the prettiest person there. Like, most of us have that ability, right? I've been in rooms where I was by far more attractive than everybody else in the room, and I've been in rooms where I'm probably one of the least attractive people in the room. Like, it varies. It just depends on the room that you're in. So when I talk about women and how women get treated and being attractive, you don't have to be a supermodel to have the effects of being an attractive woman on people in order to feel some of these effects. Now, I tell women all the time, because I talk mostly about feminine energy, and I firmly believe that your feminine energy is not determined by your body shape, your body image, your body size, your height, your weight, your age, your skin color, anything like that. Like, your attractiveness level, anything, has nothing to do with your feminine energy. That said, how you are treated and how you feel in the world and how comfortable you are in the world can have a drastic effect on how you connect to your body, how you connect to yourself, how you view yourself, how you view yourself in relation to the world, and that absolutely can affect your feminine energy. So if you as a woman feel like your level of attractiveness is not good enough, or you're not attractive enough, you perceive that as a flaw within you, you're probably going to put up a protective shield around you, which usually is a masculine shield. You may decide that you are going to focus on academic pursuits and not connect to anything that is more of the body. You're going to stay in the mind, because academics and stuff, again, not bad for women to be involved with. Women can have a mind connection and be connected to academia all you want, but if women decide to stay with things that are of the mind because they feel like the body or their physical appearance has failed them in some way, they're likely gonna shame and disconnect themselves from their bodies, and the feminine energy lives in the body. So while your physical appearance has nothing to do with your feminine energy, and you can tap into your feminine energy no matter what your attractiveness level, and tapping into your feminine energy will make you more magnetic. Like, it will make you more attractive to people. I'm not saying that that's why you should do it, but it will. However, how you perceive yourself, or how you feel like you've been treated by the world, and your feelings about your physical appearance can affect whether or not you tap into your feminine energy. But it's your feminine energy that makes you more magnetic. It's not necessarily just your physical appearance. Now, one of the reasons why I was drawn to make this video was actually because I started seeing this trend online, primarily on TikTok, of young girls who were larger sized girls, they were more plus sized girls, who were talking about how they felt like their weight was holding them back from finding a partner, and some of the reasons why they thought that that was. I can already hear like some of like the angry trolls on social media giving a list of all the reasons why men shouldn't be dating women who are bigger or whatever, blah blah blah. Ignore that stuff. We're gonna ignore all those stupid stereotypes that we all know are not true, that like women who are overweight are like lazy or whatever. I go into those topics much more in my recent body image video, and a lot of the ridiculous ideas that people have about overweight people. So like, let's just put that aside for right now. One of the common themes that was coming up was these young girls who were saying that they believed that because they were heavier and they were not in a like societally acceptable size body, that they couldn't offer men social currency that thin women were offering. So a man dating a woman who is in a larger size body, it's not as much of a status thing for men. So that men are not gonna date a woman in a bigger body size. They're gonna date a woman in a smaller body size because it is more of a status thing. I mean, that broke my heart for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons is because part of that's true, but I think one of the things that comes with wisdom and age, and somebody who has been in the dating world for decades now, somebody who, like myself, has been many different body sizes over the years. My weight has gone way up, it's gone way down. I have dated at every body size. So I've learned a few lessons about this topic. And one of the things that I have learned is that, for one, I do get more attention from men when I'm in a smaller body size. Part of that, I really do believe, is because I feel more confident in my body in a smaller body size. Clothes fit me better. Society has brainwashed us into thinking that thinner is better. So I carry myself in a much more confident way. And I also fit into clothes better, so I feel more confident in my clothes at a smaller body size. So I know I carry myself in a more confident way, and I absolutely believe that that's a factor. I believe it's actually more of a factor than the actual size of my body. But I also want to point out that while I do get more male attention in a smaller body size, I don't get better quality male attention in a smaller body size. The quality of attention and the quality of men that I attract really doesn't change much. And that's something I had to learn, because I literally thought that if I was in a smaller body size, I would get better men. And that never happened. There's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of it was because of my mindset. A lot of that was because blockages and things that I needed to deal with and things that I needed to heal. A lot of it was also because even at a smaller body size, I still didn't feel worthy of being treated well, because that's a lie that we tell a lot of women. Like, if you either lose weight or you have plastic surgery or you make yourself more attractive or more societally acceptable, that you will automatically feel great about yourself, and that's just not true. You will still have the same insecurities and the same issues that you need to work through at any size or any physical appearance. So the quality of men will not get better. In reality, and I've talked about this in some other videos, women oftentimes, when they get that excessive amount of male attention, but it's not quality male attention, very often they will start putting on weight because it's a protective shield. And I've talked about this in other videos, but I mean, that can be a protective shield from past trauma or things like that. A great book referencing this stuff is The Body Keeps the Score. This is something that's been studied in a lot of different respects. So very often that extra male attention that you're getting when you lose the weight can make you really uncomfortable, because it's not quality male attention. Like, it might feel kind of fun and validating at first, but eventually it's gonna start to wear on you, because you're gonna be like, oh my God, this isn't like good attention. Oftentimes you're gonna start to put the weight back on, not necessarily consciously, it's more of an unconscious thing, but you will start to carry more weight, even if what you're doing is exactly the same, because you're trying to protect yourself energetically. I've done that plenty of times in my life, and it's a very common phenomenon with women, and it can really lead to like the yo-yo dieting, right? It's not the only reason for people going up and down in weight, but it is a factor. But I also want to point out that the concept of men and like social currency or status or something when it comes to dating women, this was something I had to learn the hard way. But the reality is, if a man is dating you for social currency or status, he's not a man worth having in your life. Because the type of men that are going to date women who can offer them status or social currency, they might be men that have superficial things like money and status themselves, but they're not gonna treat you very well, right? And I'm not saying that, you know, wanting a man with money or wanting a man with status is not a good thing. But if a man is dating you for your physical appearance, he's likely going to be a shallow enough man who's only going to show up with something like, say, money or status himself. Because we tend to attract people that are on like the same depth that we are. That's oftentimes the reason why women who do have a certain image or certain look or certain societal status as far as their appearance tend to end up with asshole men a lot of times. There's a lot of different reasons for it, like energetically she may have past traumas or things like that, but generally speaking, she's likely going to attract a man who only sees her surface appearance. And when a man only sees your surface level appearance, he's likely a shallow person and is only going to show up with shallow things like maybe money, maybe status, maybe flash, or maybe sexual conquest or something like that. For most women in general, like there are some women who that's all they want. So, you know, two shallow people are just getting together and they want to be a shallow person, fine. But generally speaking, for most people, especially for most women, we're gonna need more than that. We're gonna need more depth than that. And I'm not telling you to like find some like, you know, deep broke guy who's a loser or something. But generally speaking, if you have a man who's only showing up with that like, you know, money, status, whatever, like the shallow surface level stuff, because he's attracted to your like just surface level beauty, you're gonna have a really shallow, superficial relationship. That might last if you're both shallow people, but for most of us, that's just not gonna be satisfying. So I can actually tell you about a few instances that I've had in my own life where this has become an issue. One instance was when I was in college, and when I got out of college, I lost about 65 pounds. Got to the thinnest weight I've ever been in my life, competed in a beauty pageant. I had been overweight, I'd been the fat kid in school, I'd always had weight issues my whole life, and I ended up meeting a guy. I perceived him, like I put him up on a pedestal, like I perceived him as being this great catch. Because at my heavier weights, I had always thought I didn't deserve someone who was really giving me anything, really. So I was dating guys who were like really bottom of the barrel, because I didn't think I deserved any better. I ended up meeting this guy who I put up on a pedestal and perceived as being wonderful, and he loved that I perceived him as being wonderful. And in the world that we were in, I was considered like top of the line attractive in that world. I'm not trying to sit here and say like I'm some kind of supermodel, but like in the world that we were in, I was about as attractive as you get for a woman. So I was new, I showed up, I was this higher level of attractiveness in our particular world. So he saw me as being a status thing. He didn't like me as a person. He dated me because it made him look better. First of all, the fact that he had a woman who other guys perceived as being attractive and who other guys wanted was an ego boost to him, because I thought he was so great, because I was kind of clouded by my own stuff that I was going through. I was really trauma bonded to him. That gave him an ego boost. And he never really liked me. Now, I will also point out that in this world, I was considered very attractive. In fact, I was consistently told that I should not be in this world, that I should just go off and model and like leave everybody alone. Like everybody thought that I was just gonna go off and be a model, and I had competed in a beauty pageant, whatever. Whatever you think of my looks now, like that was the level that I was working in. I remember going to this guy that I was dating, like we were dating, he was my boyfriend, and I remember going to him and saying that I thought that this guy that we were working with was actually not giving me certain work opportunities because he wasn't viewing me as somebody who could do the job, that he was just looking at me as somebody he was attracted to, and he wasn't taking me seriously, which I know for a fact was true. And I remember saying this to my boyfriend at the time, the guy who was dating me, and he was like, "You're not that attractive." Now, this was someone who was specifically just dating me because my physical appearance gave him a certain status. But when I went to him with an issue that I had where I thought that another man was not treating me properly because of my attractiveness, his response was to try to tear me down a peg. And I gotta be honest with you, anytime I say anything about my physical appearance that is positive, I hear his voice in my head, like, "You're not that attractive." Like literally that's what happens. And I've been trying to retrain my brain to not think that way, but I'm just saying that this happens. This isn't the only time that's ever happened to me. It's happened to me plenty of other times in the past. But oftentimes, if you do get into a relationship with a man who is with you solely for the status he gets because of your physical appearance as a woman, because as women we tend to get judged for our physical appearance, that man will likely then resent the fact that you're getting attention for your physical appearance, and he will then try to tear you down. I don't say this to say that women shouldn't be attractive. I don't say this to say that if you're an attractive woman, you should never trust a man. But I want to say this because there's a lot of women out there who I guarantee you are more attractive than you think that you are, because society is convincing you that you're not as attractive. But there are so many women who think that, well, if I was just more attractive, I would get a better man, or a man would treat me better, and that's just not the case. Because if a man is only dating you for your physical appearance, he's probably going to end up resenting you for that physical appearance when that gets attention. Like, he's gonna like when it gets attention that benefits him, but he's gonna resent it when it gets attention that might not benefit him in some way. Now, I have a video talking about men's preferences and how screwed up they often are, because they're not really preferences, they're just excuses to trash women. That's a whole other topic, and I'm not going to get into this. But the reality is, as much as the media and some of these podcast bros and things like that like to convince women that all men have the same preference, the reality is Everybody as humans has different preferences. Are there certain things that are considered more societally attractive than other things? Yes, but in general, there's a lid for every pot. Like, there's somebody out there that's gonna be into what it is that you're offering. So the reality is, like, there's gonna be somebody out there who thinks that you're beautiful, who's gonna be attracted to something about you. So as much as the media tries to convince women that they have to conform to a certain image and that we're trying to make women all look like cookie cutter versions of each other, most people are gonna have a variety of different preferences. But I have seen a trend online and some viral videos talking about how women should find out who a man's like celebrity crush is, or like who his preference is when he's watching porn, which I would say if he's watching porn, you don't want to deal with him anyway. I'll make a whole video about that later, but whatever. To find out what a man's physical beauty ideal is for a woman, and if you don't fit that physical ideal, then you shouldn't be with that man, because he's always going to be looking for a woman who does fit the physical ideal. And I would say, honestly, there's some truth to that. Now, obviously, if you have a man who's not just a shallow, superficial asshole, he's gonna see you as more than just a physical appearance. But in reality, if his physical preference is not you, there's probably always gonna be a blockage there. I say that as a woman who has very frequently dated guys who I have not been his physical preference. I've very frequently dated guys who were into brunettes with big butts. As a blonde who is very top heavy, I've dated a lot of guys who that just wasn't their preference. There are a lot of men out there whose preference is me, but I dated a lot of guys who it wasn't. And I can tell you that generally speaking, that will probably eat away at you. I mean, I'm not saying it's not something that can be overcome. And if you two were like super compatible in every area and he does think you're beautiful, you just don't look like his like celebrity crush or something like that, I don't think it's something that you should necessarily like have as a deal breaker. But generally speaking, it probably is going to become an issue at some point. If for no other reason than as a woman, it's probably going to eat away at your insecurities and make you beat yourself up over it. But if he's holding that over your head, or he's making you specifically feel insecure about stuff, kick him to the curb. You don't need him, you don't want him. But I want to add another perspective. If you find out that you are your man's specific physical preference, I'm not saying it's a deal breaker, but I think you should pay attention to if he is just dating you because you are his physical preference, or if he actually likes you as a person. Because unfortunately what happens with many men is they will say they want something, like they have certain values, they have certain preferences as far as, you know, what they want in a partner, they have certain goals for their life, they have certain visions, they may have this whole idea, and they see a woman that they're physically attracted to and all sense goes out the window. They start thinking with their small head instead of their big head, and they don't actually pay attention to the woman as a person. And many men today have been conditioned from a young age through porn, through the media, to objectify women. So I'm not saying that if you are a man's specific physical preference that you should freak out because you're like, oh, he must be objectifying me. However, if you are a man's specific physical preference, like, you know, you check the boxes, you look like the celebrity crush he has, you look like the women that he lusts after or the women that he's dated in the past, like, I'm not saying that that's like a red flag, but I do think that you need to pay attention to, okay, is this man just dating me because I fit a certain look? Or does this man actually care about me as a person? Honestly, only time will tell, right? I mean, you won't know that necessarily right away, and I do believe that's one of the reasons why women need to pace relationships. As women, we can't just like jump in to relationships. We have to pace the relationship because we have to know if this man actually cares about us for us or if we just fit a mold. Gotta be honest with you, I had that experience in my marriage with my ex-husband. I really believe that I was his physical preference. I fit the look, I was the look he wanted, and I believe he ignored so much about who I was as a person that just wasn't compatible with him because I was the physical look that he wanted. Unfortunately, as women, the only way we're gonna ever be able to protect ourselves from men like that is to just pay attention to pace the relationship. So, well, yes, if you are not a man's physical preference, that can be an issue. If you are a man's physical preference, that can also be an issue too. And that is the reason why, as women, we need to pay attention to, is this man only interested in us for our physical appearance? Is this man only paying attention to us because of our physical appearance? And that's also one of the reasons why I don't want women to get too caught up in, oh my God, if I looked this way, if I was thinner, if I was younger, if I had a boob job or I had a BBL or if I had a nose job or something, then the man would like me. Like, that mentality is only gonna get you a man who is only choosing you for your superficial beauty. And look, as women, we obviously want the man we're in a relationship with to find us physically attractive. We want him to see us as beautiful. Of course, every woman deserves that. Every woman deserves to be in a relationship with a man who looks at her like she's the most beautiful woman in the world. Every woman deserves that. And I believe every woman deserves that and can have that. But the reality is, as women, we can't get so caught up in trying to make ourselves into what we think men want. I can also tell you for a fact, you can make yourself into the physical ideal of whatever you think that a man wants. Men always move the goalposts. They will. You can nip and tuck everything and be into exactly what a man wants, and he'll be like, well, I want a girl who's more natural. Like, you obviously had work done or something. I talk about this a little bit more in my body image video, so you can watch that, but don't spend your time trying to become what you think men want. Spend your time becoming the best version of yourself, what you want, who you think is amazing. Create the life that you love and enjoy. And I really do believe that the right people, as far as romantic relationships, friendships, the right people will come into your life. You will magnetize them when you just become the best version of yourself. If you think that that means being healthier and getting more in shape or something because that's what you want to do for you, go for it. But please don't start getting caught up in this mentality of like, oh my God, if I was prettier, my life would be better. Or if I was thinner, or if I had a different nose, or if I had a boob job or something. Like, don't get caught up in this. If I had this thing, then my life would be better. Because as somebody who has spent so much of her life changing herself, I've never had plastic surgery, but I've tried every diet on the planet. I've been up and down in my weight over the years. I can tell you that chasing that is not going to get you in a better relationship. Until you start working on yourself, you start working on your own stuff, you start working on the reasons why you're picking the wrong men, the reasons why you don't think that you're deserving of a good partner, like all those kind of things. Like, you're going to keep repeating the patterns at any weight, at any shape, at any attractiveness level. I know this was kind of a random video and these were just kind of random topics, but these were just things that I kept seeing come up on social media and stuff. I don't want us to get too caught up in making ourselves look a certain way or fitting a societal beauty standard or thinking that like we'd be in the perfect relationship if we just looked a certain way. At the end of the day, I really want people to just like own their beauty, own their inner beauty, take care of ourselves, but also embrace our uniqueness, not keep trying to conform to what a society tells us to be, and understand that the grass isn't always greener. There's oftentimes women out there who are absolutely gorgeous who don't get the respect they deserve. I just want to see women especially just embrace who they are, embrace their uniqueness, take good care of yourself, connect to your feminine energy, own your worth. Like, I just want to see more women do that. So yeah, if you have any thoughts on any of the stuff I mentioned in this video, any other topics you'd like me to talk about, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. I love your suggestions. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and be sure you subscribe to my channel. If you would like to connect your dark feminine energy, please check out my dark feminine energy guided journal. Link is in the description box below, along with links to all my social media accounts, including my new TikTok, which I'm trying to grow, so follow me there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.